On today's episode of the Cryptoverse, you're not going to believe this, but Bitcoin Core have just made a change to their software that makes it incompatible with Segwit2x, which may result in another split to Bitcoin in November. So all of that coming up on today's edition of the Cryptoverse, so stay right there. Hi there guys, welcome to the latest episode of the Cryptoverse, your regular dose of news and commentary on Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies and blockchains. I'm your host, Chris Coney, the founder of Cryptoversity, the online school where you can learn about Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies and blockchains. Find out more at cryptoversity.com. So we're going to do a Bitcoin network update because there's some big news coming out. So Segwit is now officially locked in, which we will see from Coindance. And we've moved into the 2-week grace period before Segwit officially activates. We're actually already 114 blocks into the activation period, which puts the activation date at Tuesday, the 22nd of August. Now, the question that everyone is asking relates to the 2x part of Segwit2x. That was the agreement that the vast majority of miners came to back in New York. Now, if you remember, this agreement was to apply the Segwit upgrade to Bitcoin, which is happening now, and then 3 months after activation, increase the size of the transaction blocks from 1 megabyte to 2 megabytes, so that Bitcoin could process a greater number of transactions in every 10-minute period. Now, because Bitcoin Cash now offers a refuge for people who like these bigger blocks, the question is whether the New York agreement would be upheld. Now, I've pointed out previously that, say, on Coindance, you see Segwit2x, we have still 92% of miners signaling their intention to support Segwit2x. So that's the vast majority of miners still intend to carry out this agreement, despite Bitcoin Cash appearing with these big blocks. Well, that's that bit. But 3 days ago, something appeared on GitHub. Here we go. This is the GitHub for Bitcoin Core. This pull request was submitted to Bitcoin Core, the GitHub, which proposes to configure the Bitcoin Core client to disconnect from any network nodes that it meets that are running the Segwit2x software. Now that means that the Bitcoin Core software would just refuse to talk to anyone else on the network that was running Segwit2x software. Now, bearing in mind, Bitcoin is a peer-to-peer network, meaning that one network node connects to its neighbor, who then relays messages to the next person and the next person and the next person. Refusing certain connections like that, it kind of reminds me of, it's almost like pulling threads out of a piece of cloth, right? As you begin pulling threads out of a piece of cloth, it starts to lose its integrity and it gets weaker, right? So a network is kind of like a fabric. The tighter the weave, the more interconnected it is, the better. So this idea of rejecting certain threads, I don't think that's a good idea. Despite that though, this pull request that I just showed you has already been accepted, meaning anyone running the Bitcoin Core software in 3 months' time, when this 2 megabyte hard fork happens in November, will be split off into yet another version of Bitcoin. Now, I don't mean to rub it in, but when I talked about this several weeks ago, I got a ton of hate for spreading FUD, right? Well, what do those people got to say to me now? Now this has happened, right? Many of you know I'm a long-time meditator, right? And if there's one subject that I know more about than technology, it's psychology. You know, it's remarkable how well you can predict behavior of other people when you've spent years studying the mechanics of your own mind. And when you get right down to it, our minds, they run very similar base operating systems. And once you understand how that functions, I not only understood my own behavior more, but I was much more able to accurately predict how situations like this would play out. I've said this before, I would personally like to see Segwit2x go ahead and become the dominant version of Bitcoin, simply because of the amount of confusion that it's going to cause new users who come to Bitcoin, right? Those are the people that I set up Cryptoversity to serve in the first place. People who have real problems that Bitcoin can solve. But it makes it increasingly difficult for me to bring new people into Bitcoin if the community is always at war. And I'm trying to serve the community. The more people I bring in, the more people I onboard onto Bitcoin, the more everyone benefits. But meanwhile, inside the community, everyone seems to be at war. Now, back to my objective self. If you want to support this move by Bitcoin Core, then all you need to do is run the Bitcoin Core software. If you want to oppose this move, then run software and use a wallet that supports Segwit2x, which at the moment is most of the industry. Now, I'll continue to monitor this situation and provide you with updates, as always, as they arise. So thanks very much for joining me today, guys. If you liked this episode, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you're new around here, get subscribed. And if you would like access to my very best material, such as my structured online courses that will teach you how to make and save money with Bitcoin, check out cryptoversity.com. Alright guys, I'll be back tomorrow with another edition of the Market Roundup and another edition of this news and commentary show. So until then, it's me, Chris Coney, saying bye for now.